It's a range of things, so it depends. Some of them have issues internally, so a lot of their staff are predominantly white or predominantly male, especially within tech companies, and so they have an issue with attracting diverse talent.
Taz from YSYS, thanks so much for coming in to the YSYS special today, which is really cool to have the community in. So you run D&I for YSYS, is that right?
That's right, yeah. So I look after all of the D&I services, and I work really closely with Deborah, who's our founder, to deliver these to a range of companies. So we work with tech organizations, startups, and my focus at the minute this summer is to deliver them to accelerators in London.
That's cool. So corporates come and when they want to be more diverse and put the effort into the diversity, YSYS can help structure that. So what way does that work? Is it how to hire? Is it who to hire? Is it how does it work with a corporate?
It's a range of things, so it depends. Some of them have issues internally, so a lot of their staff are predominantly white or predominantly male, especially within tech companies, and so they have an issue with attracting diverse talent. A lot of diverse talent will go onto a website, have a look at the hiring managers and say, there's no one at that company that looks like me. I'm not sure I want to work there. And so it could be on the recruitment side, it could be that their job adverts aren't accessible for everyone, so potentially they're only posting on sites that are visited by the same people over and over.
Yeah.
So it's helping them to engage with the right communities. It could be a range of things. It could even be their content. Their job adverts or job descriptions could be, the language could be gendered more towards males as opposed to females, and using words like, we want confident and ambitious as opposed to ungendered language. So it's a mix of things.
It's interesting because something you don't think about is the employee or potential employee facing content. I don't think companies really think about that, do they? Like what potential employees are looking at. It's all customer facing rather than what potential employees that company would look at.
That's right. I think it's important because their product is integral to the business, right? But then people are the heartbeat of the business. So there's the regular branding that you have for your product, and then I think there's definitely has to be employer branding. There's a couple of brands. I think Monzo do it really well. Don't know if I can mention them on camera.
Yeah.
But I think Monzo do it really well. They always show internally the struggles that they have. Tom Blomfield really shows his vulnerability and how they've made mistakes in the past and they come together. And so that side of things and the employee benefits does really well to bring people in, I think.
Yeah.
And then the product side is obviously brilliant as they're scaling and winning investment.
Yeah, it's funny. Monzo just released something today, which is really ballsy, but they released the figures from 2016 up until now of male to female, and then how diverse the users are. And it is slowly getting better, really slowly, right? It's got a couple of % a year, is getting better, but it just they released that, but the fact that they're so open about it is quite cool, that they're trying to, they're not trying to hide anything, basically.
Yeah, definitely. And I think the tech industry is becoming increasingly more transparent. I think even in the way you work, some of the organizations I've worked for, it's like everyone's targets are very public within the company. You're encouraged to fail fast and learn fast. So I think it's a good place to be. It's a good culture.
Yeah, we chatted a bit off camera about the tech scene, especially in London, the way it is and how much it revolves around the alcohol and drinks and comfort beer. I think every single invite I get, unless it's a breakfast one, says pizza and beer. It's like always in the it is, but it's always in the subject because they want you to click on it, right? And if it says pizza and beer, they think more people are going to click on it.
Yeah.
But obviously that's not inclusive of everybody. Everyone doesn't want to go and have war and beer at a co-working space at like 4 o'clock on a Wednesday, right?
Yeah.
It's just not like that. So you're doing something to try and move away from that and rectify that issue a little bit.
Yeah, definitely. I think so. What I do is twofold. I obviously work for YSYS, and then I help to run events for another diverse community called Islamic Makers, which actually started out because of how excluded a lot of Muslims felt when they went to tech meetups. So it was focusing around the tech and creative space, and they started tech meetups with a pledge for no alcohol and to be as inclusive to Muslims as possible. And what happened was we started getting interest from a lot of introverts or a lot of mothers who didn't want to drink in the middle of the week, or a lot of parents who just didn't want to come to an alcohol-fueled environment where people can get quite boisterous.
Yeah, of course.
And so we realized quickly we had to open that out. And now we have people of all walks of faith coming to Islamic Makers events, and even if you're really introverted, you just don't want to be in that space. I think a lot of people come for the free alcohol, which is probably not the right reason to come to an event.
Yeah, maybe, exactly. If you're running an event and you want to build, because people run events to build community, right? And to create knowledge about their product or service or business or what they're trying to achieve. And do you really want 50 piss heads coming because there's Heineken on tap or whatever it might be? Probably not. They aren't really the right people for it. And I said off camera that we made a mistake on Behind the Curtain with the first episode where, again, we did fall into the old trap of we need alcohol. right? And part of the reason for that was because it was going to be filmed like we're filming today, and there was a crowd. We thought if there's more alcohol, maybe to be more loud, basically on camera, and make us like look a bit funnier than we are. But we did get feedback after the first one to say there was, wine, red wine, white wine, Guinness probably, and regular beers, and then there was nothing for non-drinkers or people who are driving or people who have to be up early or whatever it might be, Muslims that don't drink. There was nothing like that. So we did rectify that going forward and partner with like non-alcoholic brands, which there's loads of. There's a lot of cool brands.
Yeah, I mentioned earlier off camera as well that I went to a D&I conference earlier this year called Monkey Gras, hosted by Red Monk, and they were great. In fact, they had more non-alcoholic options than alcoholic, and I just think it completely changes the vibe. It doesn't feel so much as just a social event. It feels like people are there to create impact. They're there to connect ideas and share and collaborate. And then there's the added social aspect. Whereas I think a lot of the alcohol-driven ones become, I'm going there for the alcohol, and no one really pays attention to the content. And it's a lot cheaper if you don't have alcohol.
Yeah, another bonus.
You can probably save thousands by not having alcohol at one of your events. So, I'm glad that you took the feedback on.
Yeah, no, of course. And do you think, go back to diversity, do you think big corporates they don't know what to do, right? And do you think they overcomplicate a lot of it? Like, is it that hard to fix, or is it they just overcomplicate it and don't even touch it because it's too?
I think with corporates, it's a scary one. They have a lot of legacy because they've been around some of them have been around, like some of the corporate banks have been around 150 years, let's say. So in order for them to change something like a recruitment process or particular document, there's tons and tons of red tape. And so I don't think the process is difficult. I think it's just longer and more laborious. So they're often in fear of like, where do we start? And that's often where YSYS can come in and help. But then at the same time, you have the flip side with startups that I think have such a brilliant opportunity to implement that D&I in the beginning and filter it through the culture, because I've seen companies scale, go from 30 people, one of the organizations I worked for, from 30 people to 90 in a space of 18 months. And what was happening was they were growing so exponentially. They weren't properly onboarding and embedding the culture into the managers, and the managers, it then became quite cliquey and disjointed, and so the culture wasn't being filtered through. So, early days, YSYS worked with so many young companies, and it's probably the best time to implement it.
Yeah,
I don't think
continue.
Exactly.
Yeah, just continue well. You start well and just and continue well. Did you ever see that video of the recruitment company that got a load of stick last year? It was the worst.
The geezers.
Yeah, did you see that video?
All the men coming out, yeah.
I don't know if we can pull up the video because it's hilarious. But I thought it was a joke. I actually thought it was satire. It was a complete joke. But then I found out it's an actual recruitment video for a recruitment company, wasn't it?
Yeah, and so the funny thing is I was actually working for a tech recruitment company at the time. So I kind of combined like my teaching experience with my tech recruitment to move into the D&I space. And I remember just sitting there and it was I don't know if I could face palm my face hard enough when I saw it, because the recruitment industry has notoriously had quite a bad reputation, and it's because of videos like that. Not to diss any particular brands, but it can be very laddish, very alcohol focused, and you have incentive trips to Vegas and things like that. And so that video wouldn't, again, if they were trying to hire diverse talent, I'm not sure if it's in their remit, they would do a pretty bad job with that video.
I'd say it probably isn't in their remit doing stuff like that. But no, it's interesting. And there was only one woman in there who happened to be secretary that patted one of the guys in the back or something. That's terrible, the worst thing ever. But what worries me is that there's more than one person had to say yes to that, which is hilarious. That had to go through, I don't know how many people, 10, 15, 20.
But this is the problem. So unless we get diverse people into leadership positions, these things are going to keep happening. We, especially with the tech space, I find that a lot of companies are coming to YSYS and approaching us, and even Islamic makers, to say, look, we have a problem. We know that we have a problem, but we don't know how to fix it, because they've identified that their product isn't just meant to be used by one demographic. Products can be used by anyone with an internet connection and a phone. Yeah. And so if you're going to successfully create your product to reach all of those people and serve their needs, and for them to actually become a long-term user, then you need to understand that demographic. And how will I may not fully understand what a person of African heritage particularly needs when it comes to like dietary requirements, for example, or cultural. I'm not a mother, so I wouldn't even know what a mother would need in the workplace. And so we can't have people that all look the same, i.e., I'm going to say on camera, middle-aged Caucasian males making all the decisions in companies, because it's not conducive to good products or a great company or good culture.
Of course, and if there is those middle-aged white men watching the show at home, hello, thank you for tuning in. Hey, but if they want to find out more about diversity and inclusion and practically what they can do to help be more diverse, where can they go to find out more?
There's lots of organisations, obviously come to YSYS.
Yeah.
We're here to have a conversation. There's loads of resources online, I think, but ultimately, more than anything, I think face-to-face conversations are the best way that you're going to add value, because every company's D&I needs are different. So you can go online and read all the articles you want, but unless you speak to someone who's working with various companies, you're not going to be able to identify the gaps.
Of course.
And so I think just engage in conversations with people and start engaging with diverse communities. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
The number of companies we've spoken to that say, oh, we have a list of all these diverse communities, Taz. And we asked them to post our applications for our accelerator into their newsletter, and we didn't get a response. And I'm like, I wonder why they didn't give you a response.
Of course, yeah.
You can't just take all the time.
Of course,
so.
It's give back as well. We'll link YSYS below, and anything else you ask us to link below.
Yeah.
Please do check it out. Thanks for coming in, Taz.
Thank you. Thanks
Cheers.
for having me.